Most men have no idea what women secretly dream of doing to the man they truly love. Think about it, you could be dating, in a long-term relationship, or even married for years, and still be completely unaware of the fantasies quietly living in her mind. Not because she doesn't want you to know, but because these desires are often wrapped in layers of subtlety, emotion, and timing. Many men make the mistake of assuming women's fantasies are only about physical intimacy, but in reality, they're far deeper, more psychological, and often connected to how you make her feel as a man. The truth is, when a woman loves you, her mind is a playground of ideas, some soft and nurturing, others daring and wildly passionate. The problem? She may never say them out loud. And that's why so many men miss out on an entire dimension of connection that could completely transform their relationship. Today, we're going to peel back that curtain. You'll discover the unspoken actions, gestures, and dynamics she longs for but won't admit. These aren't just about physical touch. They're about creating an emotional and sensual environment where she feels safe enough to let her deepest fantasies surface. If you've ever wanted to understand not just what she wants, but how to awaken it in a way that makes her feel both cherished and desired, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Number 1. Nurturing his hidden self. When a woman truly loves a man, she doesn't just care for the version of him that the world sees. She becomes deeply curious about the parts of him that stay hidden. This is one of the most underestimated forms of intimacy. It's not about fixing him, judging him, or constantly giving advice. It's about creating an emotional space where his guard can come down, where he feels free to reveal the quieter, softer, or even uncertain parts of himself without fear of being diminished in her eyes. Take Michael, 35, a successful architect from Denver. On the surface, he's confident, put together, and always in control. But when he's alone with his partner, Emily, 32, something shifts. She knows that behind the strong exterior is a man who sometimes doubts himself, who carries the weight of expectations from his career and family. Instead of telling him to toughen up or brushing it off, Emily leans in. She listens without interrupting, touches his hand as he talks, and lets silence do some of the heavy lifting. That subtle, non-judgmental presence tells him, "You're safe with me." This kind of nurturing is not about mothering. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about respecting his masculinity while also honoring his humanity. Many men grow up in environments where vulnerability is seen as weakness. So when a woman creates a pocket of emotional freedom, it becomes intoxicating. He feels understood on a level that most people will never reach, and that understanding deepens her place in his heart. From a psychological standpoint, this is powerful because it taps into the male desire for emotional loyalty. Men don't open up easily, but when they do, they remember exactly who made it possible. A woman who can see both the hero and the human in him becomes irreplaceable. This isn't about dramatic therapy sessions, it's about the everyday moments when she notices he's quieter than usual, or when she asks a question that digs deeper than, "How was your day?" and then truly listens. Here's the twist: nurturing his hidden self often awakens parts of her own sensuality. Because when a man feels safe emotionally, he becomes more expressive physically. The intimacy they share moves beyond routine gestures. It becomes layered, complex, and alive. He no longer feels like he has to perform. Instead, he can connect, and that connection fuels everything from their conversations to their chemistry in bed. Michael once told Emily that the first time he felt completely himself with her was during a weekend getaway when they sat on the porch after midnight, no phones, no distractions. He admitted fears he'd never voiced before, not even to his closest friends. She didn't rush to solve anything. She simply smiled, leaned her head on his shoulder, and said, "You don't have to have it all figured out." In that moment, she wasn't just his girlfriend. She was his confidant, his anchor, and his safe harbor. If you've ever wondered why some men stay deeply committed long after the initial spark fades, This is one of the reasons. It's because she's not just his lover, she's the person who knows the man behind the armor. And in a world that constantly demands he be on, having a space where he can be fully off is rare, precious, and unforgettable. So if you're a man watching this, understand that when a woman invests in nurturing your hidden self, it's not about making you less of a man, it's about helping you become more of the man you're meant to be. And if you're a woman, remember, the way you respond to his unspoken self is the difference between a relationship that feels surface level and one that feels soul deep. I want to hear from you. What's one moment where someone truly saw the side of you that most people never get to see? Drop it below and say, I am more than they know. And stay close, because what we're diving into next will shift the way you think about intimacy forever. Number 2. Playful affection that surprises. One of the most underestimated ways a woman shows deep love is through small, playful acts of affection that catch you off guard. It's not the big gestures, no candlelit dinners or grand romantic speeches, but the unexpected touches, the silly remarks, or the sudden bursts of intimacy that make you stop and think, she really sees me. These moments carry a special kind of magic because they bypass logic and go straight to the emotional core. Playful affection has a way of keeping a relationship alive and breathing. It's unpredictable but deeply personal. You might be standing in the kitchen, half asleep making coffee, and she walks up behind you, wraps her arms around your waist, and kisses your shoulder without saying a word. Or maybe she hides a cheeky note in your jacket pocket before you leave for work, just enough to make you smile hours later. It's light-hearted, yes, but it's also strategic in the best way. She's telling you, I think about you when you're not here. The Stoics, who are often wrongly thought of as cold or unfeeling, would actually understand this kind of affection well. Epictetus once said, "Small tokens can bind hearts more than great gifts." They knew that it's not the size of the gesture, but the intention behind it that forges connection. Playfulness in affection works the same way. It's not about spending lavishly or making a scene, but about creating small, intimate ripples that keep the bond vibrant. Playful affection also works on a subconscious level. It breaks patterns. When two people are together for a while, routines start to set in, and with routines often comes a certain predictability. The problem with predictability in relationships is that while it can create stability, it can also dull the spark. Playful affection interrupts that. It brings back a hint of the early days when everything was new, when you didn't know what to expect, and when every little gesture felt like a thrill. It's also worth noting that playful affection isn't random, it's highly attuned. It works because she's paying attention to you. She knows when you're tense and need a laugh. She can sense when you've had a rough day, and a quick tickle on your side will pull you out of your head. She understands that sometimes intimacy isn't about heavy emotional talks or long, passionate nights. It's about those light, unplanned, but deeply human connections. In long-term relationships, these moments are the glue. They bridge the gaps between deeper conversations and more intense physical intimacy. They remind you that your partner isn't just your lover, but your friend, your co-conspirator in life's little joys. And here's the kicker. The impact of playful affection is often greater when you don't realize how much you need it until it happens. From a man's perspective, being on the receiving end of playful affection can be grounding. It's a reminder that love doesn't always have to be serious to be meaningful. The world demands so much seriousness from men at work, in decision-making, in providing. But when she pulls you into a goofy dance in the living room or ruffles your hair just because, she's giving you permission to drop the armor for a moment. And there's a subtle sensuality in that too. Playfulness often opens the door to deeper physical connection. It breaks down barriers in a way that feels natural, unforced. A playful tug on your tie might turn into a kiss. A teasing remark might lead to a flirtatious touch. Before you know it, what started as lightheartedness becomes a spark for passion. This is why playful affection is not to be underestimated. It's the heartbeat between the bigger moments. It's a woman saying, I see you, I want you, and I like having fun with you. And that combination is magnetic. So I want you to think back. What's one small, unexpected thing someone did for you that made you feel both wanted and seen? Share it below and write, "I remember the spark." And keep watching, because what's coming next will challenge the way you think about passion and emotional connection. Number 3. Protecting his vulnerability. When a woman truly loves a man, one of the most profound ways she expresses it is by becoming the guardian of his most vulnerable side. And here's the thing, most men aren't quick to reveal that side. Society trains men to be stoic, to hold it together, to never let cracks show. But every man, no matter how tough he seems on the outside, has moments of doubt, fear, and insecurity. When he lets her see those moments, it's not weakness, it's trust. Let me paint a picture for you. Mark, 34, is the kind of guy who always has it together. Successful job, confident demeanor, the life of any social gathering. But one night, after losing a big client at work, he came home quieter than usual. He didn't want to talk at first, didn't want to unload his frustration. But Emily, his girlfriend of 2 years, didn't push. She sat with him on the couch, poured him a glass of whiskey, and just stayed there. Eventually, he opened up not just about the client, but about the fear of failing, the pressure he felt to always perform. She didn't interrupt with solutions or judge him for feeling that way. She simply listened, occasionally resting her hand on his knee to remind him she was there. This is what protecting vulnerability looks like. It's about creating a space so safe that he doesn't feel the need to hide. It's about guarding his confessions like treasure, never using them as ammunition in an argument, never letting him feel exposed in a way that damages his dignity. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote, "To share your weakness is to make yourself vulnerable. To make yourself vulnerable is to show your strength." A woman who understands this becomes more than a partner, she becomes his refuge. In a world that constantly demands strength from him, she's the rare person who allows him to simply be human. Protecting vulnerability isn't just about the heavy moments either. It's in the small, everyday things. Like when he tells her about a dream that feels silly, and instead of laughing at him, she asks questions. Or when he admits he's nervous about meeting her parents, and instead of teasing him, she reassures him he'll be fine. These seemingly small moments build an unshakable foundation of trust. And here's why this is so powerful. When a man feels safe enough to show vulnerability, his emotional connection to her deepens dramatically. He's not just sharing his victories with her, he's letting her in on the parts of himself that few people ever see. That kind of intimacy creates a bond that's far stronger than physical attraction alone. Think about how rare this is for men. Many will go years, decades, even without showing anyone their inner fears or doubts. But when they do, and it's met with empathy rather than judgment, it forges something that feels almost unbreakable. It's no longer just a relationship, it's a partnership where both people can drop their guard without fear. For women, this means recognizing those moments when he's letting the armor down and treating them with care. It means resisting the urge to fix everything right away and instead offering presence, understanding, and respect for what he's sharing. Men may not say it out loud, but the women who protect their vulnerability stand apart. They become the ones he turns to in both triumph and defeat, the ones whose opinion matters most, and the ones he'll fight to keep in his life, because losing them would mean losing his safe haven. So here's something I want you to think about. Have you ever experienced that moment when someone made you feel completely safe to be yourself, flaws and all? If you have, drop a comment and write, "I felt safe." And keep watching, because next we're going to explore a side of love that's just as powerful, but often far more playful. Number 4. Inspiring his best self. When a woman truly loves a man, she doesn't just accept who he is, she sees who he could be, and she has this uncanny ability to draw that out of him. And here's the beautiful part. She doesn't do it through criticism, nagging, or pressure. She does it through inspiration. Her presence, her faith in him, and the subtle ways she challenges him make him want to rise higher, not because she demands it, but because he wants to be the kind of man who deserves her belief in him. A lot of men go through life without someone in their corner like this. Friends might encourage them here and there, mentors might give them advice, but there's something different about a woman who inspires. It's not about achievement for achievement's sake, it's about becoming the fullest version of himself, both for his own sake and because he feels she brings out the best in him. The Stoics understood this idea deeply. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." When a man is with a woman who truly inspires him, that first part, the vision of who he would be, becomes clearer. She makes him see possibilities he might have ignored before. Maybe it's how she celebrates his wins, no matter how small. Maybe it's the way she doesn't let him settle when she knows he's capable of more. Or maybe it's how she believes in his dreams, even when they're still fragile ideas. But here's the catch: this kind of inspiration isn't about pushing him to be who she wants. It's about nudging him toward who he wants to be. She listens when he talks about his goals. She remembers the things that light him up, and she helps him connect the dots between his daily habits and the man he wants to become. It could be something as simple as encouraging him to finally sign up for that class he's been talking about, or quietly reminding him of the progress he's already made when he starts doubting himself. This works because inspiration is contagious. When he feels her faith in him, it fuels his own belief. And when he achieves something, even a small milestone, he associates that win with her encouragement. That creates a powerful feedback loop where her inspiration drives his progress, and his progress deepens his gratitude and affection for her. It's worth noting that inspiring someone's best self also means holding them accountable in a way that feels supportive rather than judgmental. If he's slipping into bad habits, she doesn't shame him. She reminds him of who he is and what he's capable of. She helps him see that he's not living up to his own standards, and because he knows it comes from a place of love, he listens. There's also a quiet confidence in this approach. She doesn't need to control every move he makes. She understands that growth takes time, and she trusts that he'll rise to the challenge if given the right environment. Her patience is part of what makes her influence so strong. Over time, this kind of woman becomes more than just a partner. She becomes a catalyst. She's woven into the fabric of his personal evolution, not because she forced change, but because she inspired it. And here's the truth: a man never forgets the woman who made him better. So I want you to think about this. Have you ever been with someone who made you want to be better without making you feel like you weren't already enough? If you have, write in the comments, "I rise higher." And stick around, because next we're stepping into a side of love that blends tenderness with raw passion in a way few people talk about. Number 5. Making him feel deeply desired. There's a difference between a woman loving you and a woman wanting you. And every man, whether he admits it or not, craves that feeling of being genuinely desired. It's not just about physical attraction, it's about knowing that she sees him, wants him, and can't help but be drawn to him. When a woman makes a man feel this way, it taps into something primal. It's the kind of connection that goes beyond affection and lands straight in the territory of passion. Let me paint you a picture. Daniel, 34, works long hours in finance. His relationship with his girlfriend Emily, 31, is solid, but lately he's been feeling ordinary. He's loved, sure. Appreciated, yes. But desired? Not so much. One Friday evening, he comes home to find Emily waiting for him, not in a dramatic, movie-style way, but with a certain look in her eyes, that half-smile that says she's been thinking about him all day. She walks up close, runs her hand lightly along his jawline, and whispers something that isn't just affectionate, it's hungry. In that moment, the fatigue from the entire week melts away. He doesn't just feel loved, he feels wanted. This is the power of desire. It energizes, it validates. It reminds a man that he's not just a partner, but a man she can't resist. And the ways women express this can be subtle or bold. Sometimes it's through a lingering touch, sometimes through a spontaneous kiss in the middle of a conversation, sometimes through a text that's short but leaves no doubt what's on her mind. The Stoics may not have written about sexual desire in modern terms, but Marcus Aurelius captured something timeless when he said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When a man knows he's desired, his thoughts shift, he walks taller, he speaks with more confidence, and he's more engaged in the relationship. Desire becomes fuel for everything else. There's also a psychological layer here. When a woman actively makes her man feel desired, it removes the guesswork. Men often get stuck in their heads, wondering if their partner still finds them attractive. A simple, intentional act, a certain look, a direct compliment about his body, a spontaneous embrace can erase that doubt instantly. It's important to note that this isn't about grand gestures or forced seduction. The most powerful moments are often the ones that feel organic, genuine, and personal. Take Jason, 29, and his girlfriend Claire, 28. They're cooking together, laughing over something ridiculous, when Claire suddenly leans in, grabs him by the collar, and kisses him like she can't help herself. It's quick, it's real, and it's enough to leave Jason grinning like he just won the lottery. Making a man feel deeply desired isn't just good for him, it's good for the relationship. When both partners feel wanted, intimacy becomes more alive, more adventurous, and more consistent. It turns the everyday into something worth remembering. And here's the secret: desire doesn't have to fade over time. It fades when it's neglected, but when it's nurtured, when both people are intentional about expressing it, it can grow stronger, even years into a relationship. So if you're wondering whether this really matters, I'll tell you this: men don't just remember the women who loved them, they remember the women who wanted them. That's the difference between a relationship that feels safe but flat, and one that feels like it's on fire in the best way possible. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been made to feel so desired that it changed your whole mood? If yes, drop this in the comments. I am wanted. And stick around, because next we're exploring something that blends emotional depth with physical closeness in a way that very few men have ever truly experienced. Number 6. The art of emotional seduction. When most people hear the word seduction, they instantly think of something physical, a look, a touch, a kiss. But true seduction, the kind that stays with you long after the moment has passed, often begins in the mind. Emotional seduction is about creating an atmosphere where desire grows naturally because the connection between two people feels unshakably deep. It's not about chasing, it's about drawing someone in without them even realizing they're being pulled closer. At its core, emotional seduction is about understanding what makes the other person feel seen, valued, and understood, and using that knowledge to create magnetic intimacy. It's when your words carry weight not because they're loud or clever, but because they're perfectly tuned to the other person's emotional frequency. This is why the best seducers aren't necessarily the most traditionally attractive. They're the ones who know how to make you feel. The Stoics, despite living centuries before the concept of seduction as we know it, understood this dynamic in a different way. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In emotional seduction, listening is your most powerful tool. When you listen not just to respond, but to truly understand, you show the other person that their inner world matters to you. That alone can be more intoxicating than any physical gesture. Here's the subtle genius of emotional seduction. It builds anticipation without the need for constant physical contact. Imagine a conversation where you're sharing something personal, and the other person reacts not just with empathy, but with curiosity and genuine care. They don't rush to fill the silence. They let it breathe. They look at you in a way that says they're not just hearing your words, they're absorbing them. That quiet, unspoken tension, that's emotional seduction at work. It's also about timing. You don't reveal everything at once. You let bits of yourself come through in ways that invite the other person to lean in and want more. In a world where people overshare without thinking, restraint becomes alluring. You might let them know you've had an unforgettable experience without giving every detail, or you might express a thought that hints at vulnerability but stops just short of explaining it. It's that space between what's said and what's left unsaid that ignites the imagination. Another important piece is emotional reciprocity. Seduction can't be one-sided, it needs an exchange of energy. This doesn't mean matching every word for word, but rather matching the emotional tone. If they open up, you open up just enough to keep the emotional rhythm alive. That mutual exchange creates a loop of attraction that doesn't need constant physical reinforcement because it's anchored in emotional depth. And here's where it gets interesting. Emotional seduction often makes physical intimacy far more powerful when it does happen, because when the emotional groundwork is solid, the physical connection feels amplified. Every touch is loaded with meaning. Every glance feels like it's carrying a secret only the two of you understand. The beauty of this approach is that it works in both new relationships and long-term ones. In new connections, it sets the tone for a deeper bond. In established ones, it reignites passion without relying solely on novelty. It's a reminder that intimacy isn't just about what happens between bodies, it's about what happens between minds and hearts. So, if you want to master the art of emotional seduction, focus less on rehearsed lines and more on authentic connection. Be curious, be intentional, listen deeply, leave space for mystery. The person in front of you should feel like you're not just in the same room, you're in the same moment, fully. Now I'm curious, have you ever experienced a connection so deep it felt like you were being pulled in without a single touch? If yes, say this in the comments. I feel seen. And stay tuned, because next we're going to explore a dynamic that blends playfulness with intensity in a way most men overlook, but once they get it right, it changes everything. Number 7. Creating intimacy in the quiet moments. A lot of guys think intimacy is built in grand gestures, lavish dates, perfectly planned surprises, or heated physical passion. But here's the truth. Some of the most powerful, lasting connections are forged in the quiet, seemingly ordinary moments. It's in the pause between conversations, the shared glance during a lazy Sunday morning, or the way you both sit in the same space without needing to fill the air with words. Take Ryan, 32, and Emily, 30. They'd been dating for about 8 months, and while their chemistry was undeniable, what deepened their bond wasn't the extravagant nights out, it was the evening they sat on her balcony, wrapped in blankets, watching the rain. They didn't talk much, maybe a few whispers here and there, but both of them felt this unspoken sense of belonging. That's the magic of quiet intimacy. It bypasses performance and taps directly into comfort, trust, and presence. Quiet moments work because they remove distractions. You're not performing for each other, you're simply with each other. And in a world full of constant noise, notifications, streaming, endless scrolling, being able to share silence with someone is rare. It sends a subtle but powerful message. I'm comfortable enough with you to not need constant stimulation or conversation. From a Stoic perspective, this connects to the idea that peace of mind is a choice. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." When you invite someone into that kind of stillness, you're sharing something deeply personal. It's not just about external quiet, it's about offering them a place in your inner calm. To create intimacy in these moments, you don't have to force anything. Instead, lean into the environment and the energy of the moment. Maybe you're lying in bed, her head resting on your chest, and you simply trace your fingers along her arm without saying a word. Or you're driving together at night, music low, both of you watching the empty roads ahead. No big declarations, no need to overthink. Just a shared experience where the comfort speaks louder than words. This also works in relationships that have been together for years. James, 41, and Sarah, 39, found that their most cherished time wasn't during their big anniversary trips. It was the nights they'd light a single candle in the kitchen, open a bottle of wine, and sit across from each other after the kids had gone to bed. No television, no phones, just quiet conversation, or even just holding hands in silence. Quiet intimacy has another advantage: it deepens emotional safety. The more you show someone you can simply be with them without expectation or pressure, the more they relax around you. And when a woman feels emotionally safe, her desire for deeper connection, physical and emotional, naturally grows. So how can you make this happen more often? Create small pockets of stillness in your time together. Turn off the television during dinner. Suggest a walk without music or podcasts. Sit together without pulling out your phone. Let her feel that you value her presence without distraction. And remember, it's not about awkward silence. It's about shared silence, the kind that's filled with warmth, awareness, and an unspoken understanding. If she can look at you in those moments and feel like she's exactly where she wants to be, you've tapped into something far more intimate than words or even physical passion can create. Have you ever shared a quiet moment with someone that spoke volumes without a single word? Drop it in the comments with this phrase, "I've felt that." And stick around, because up next, we're diving into a form of connection that flips the usual script and takes intimacy to a level most men never think about. Number 8. The thrill of mutual surrender. There's a unique electricity in moments when both people let go, not just physically, but emotionally. Mutual surrender isn't about one person taking control while the other submits. It's about both partners dropping their guard at the same time, trusting each other enough to be completely open. It's a rare exchange where vulnerability meets desire, and that combination is intoxicating. When two people reach this point, there's no pretending, no carefully curated image. The walls drop, and you're both free to express exactly what you're feeling without hesitation. In intimacy, this could mean losing yourselves in the moment, touches, sounds, and movements flowing naturally without overthinking. Outside of the bedroom, it's that instant where you confess something you've never told anyone before, and she matches your honesty with her own. From a Stoic perspective, Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mutual surrender doesn't contradict this. In fact, it embodies it. You can only truly let go when you have enough self-control to know you're safe doing so. The security comes from trust that your openness will be met with acceptance, not judgment. What makes mutual surrender thrilling is that it's unpredictable. You can't schedule it or manufacture it. It's the product of shared emotional investment and presence. One moment you're holding each other, maybe even exchanging playful remarks, and the next there's a shift, the air gets heavier, eyes lock longer, and suddenly you're both caught in something bigger than either of you planned. For women, these moments are magnetic because they're not just about physical closeness, they're about being fully seen. When she feels that you're letting go just as much as she is not holding back, not protecting your ego, she's drawn in deeper. The connection becomes addictive because it's rare to find someone willing to match that level of openness. To reach this place more often, you need to cultivate both emotional safety and a willingness to be spontaneous. It's about creating a space where she knows you're not judging her, and you know she's not judging you. That's when playful teasing can turn into raw honesty, or gentle affection can escalate into passionate urgency without anyone consciously deciding it. Mutual surrender is also a reminder that attraction isn't a one-way street, it's a loop. The more you give, the more she gives back, and the more intense the connection becomes. This isn't about losing control in a reckless way. It's about allowing yourselves to experience the moment without fear. Have you ever had a connection so deep that it felt like you both dropped your guard completely? Share it with the words, "I let go." And don't move, because next we'll explore a form of desire that builds in the most unexpected moments, and once you understand it, you'll never look at intimacy the same way again. Number 9. Touch that speaks more than words. There's a reason why a single touch can bypass hours of conversation. Physical contact, when it's intentional and attuned, communicates a depth of feeling that words often can't match. It's not about the grand gestures, it's about the way your hand rests on her lower back in a crowded room, the slow tracing of your fingers along her arm, or the gentle squeeze of her hand at just the right moment. Touch works on a primal level. Before language, before complex expression, we relied on physical connection to convey safety, affection, and desire. Even now, our bodies are wired to respond. A lingering brush across her skin can trigger an emotional rush because it signals attention and presence. You're not just there physically, you're there with her entirely. The most powerful touches are the ones that feel natural yet deliberate. A casual graze as you pass behind her in the kitchen, a hand resting on her thigh under the table during dinner. These moments don't just spark physical attraction, they send a message: I'm aware of you, I'm connected to you, I want you. From a Stoic angle, Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In the same way, your touch becomes colored by your intention. If your thoughts are centered on care, respect, and genuine desire, she will feel it through your hands without you needing to say a word. And here's the subtle magic: touch builds anticipation. A gentle, well-timed touch doesn't demand a response, it invites one. It leaves her wondering, remembering, replaying that moment later, when she's alone. Touch also transcends timing. You can use it in moments of passion, but it's equally powerful in moments of calm. Holding her close when nothing needs to be said, resting your forehead against hers, or brushing a strand of hair away from her face, these are acts that create emotional imprints. In the end, the right touch is not just about sparking desire, it's about anchoring intimacy. When done with presence and authenticity, it becomes the language of connection that lingers long after the moment passes. Number 10. Desire that never fades. There's something rare and intoxicating about a connection that doesn't just burn bright in the beginning but continues to glow over time. It's not just the spark of a first kiss or the rush of early passion, it's the steady, almost magnetic pull that remains no matter how much time passes. This kind of desire isn't accidental, it's cultivated, fed by the way two people choose to see and engage with each other every day. When a woman loves deeply, her fantasies often aren't about replacing the man she's with, but about deepening the intimacy they already share. She wants to still feel that excitement when she sees you walk into a room, to be caught off guard by a sudden touch or an unexpected whisper. The key to making desire last is understanding that attraction thrives on both familiarity and novelty, a delicate balance of comfort and mystery. From a Stoic point of view, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive." In relationships, that same gratitude applies: waking up and remembering that it's a privilege to love and be loved by this person. When you approach your partner with that sense of appreciation, you stop taking her presence for granted, and she feels it. Desire that never fades is also about energy, the way you carry yourself, the way you keep growing, and the way you continue to bring new layers to the relationship. Maybe it's trying something together you've never done before, maybe it's telling her something you've never shared, or maybe it's simply looking at her the way you did the first time you knew you wanted her. The truth is, long-term attraction isn't about grand gestures. It's about consistently feeding the connection with moments small but potent that remind her why she chose you and why she keeps choosing you. When you can do that, you're not just keeping the flame alive, you're making it burn brighter than ever. If this video sparked something in you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, you never miss the mindset shifts that can quietly change everything. Inside, we don't chase, we lead, and we grow together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.